boys. Today I'm going to discuss projectile motion and how to solve problems related to it. So the learning objectives for this topic is to calculate range, time of flight, and the height of a projectile. Previously, you were able to learn the basic concepts of projectile motion, horizontal motion, and free fall. It is very important for you to be able to connect these concepts because they are very vital in solving projectile problems.
Recall that projectile motion is the motion of an object which is launched with an initial velocity and is acted by the Earth's pull of gravity. That is to say, the object moving in this manner is called projectile. A projectile can be launched horizontally, just like when you kick a ball from a cliff, or launched at an angle from the horizontal, just like when you throw a javelin or a basketball. If you notice, either of the two projections cause the projectiles to follow a parabolic path. The only difference is that one is just half of the other. The path traveled by the projectile is called trajectory. Have you ever wondered why the path is parabolic? Well, it is because projectile motion is a combination of two components, the horizontal and the vertical component, which makes use of the free fall concept. Let us now consider this figure. When a ball is kicked at an angle from the ground, it gives the ball an initial velocity so that it will be thrown up in the air and then lands back to the ground. Air resistance in this case is neglected, for it does not greatly affect to the motion of the ball. Hence, the angle that the ball has made from the ground when it is launched is equal to the angle from the ground as it lands, giving us a perfect and a whole parabola. Now let's discuss every part of its motion along its path. As the ball is kicked with an angle from the ground, the initial velocity it has is neither directed vertically nor horizontally, since it is inclined from the ground. Meaning to say, as the ball is moving forward, it is also moving upward just before it reaches to the maximum height, resulting to a combination of these two components of motion. You may also wonder why the motion is curved instead of a straight line, because the vertical motion follows the concept of free fall. Neglecting the air resistance maintains a constant horizontal velocity, but the vertical velocity always changes with time. While the object is going up, its y velocity decreases by 9.8 meters per second every second, and while going down, its y velocity increases by 9.8 meters per second every second, giving an acceleration of 9.8 meters per second squared, directed always downward due to gravity. Considering the arrow length that represents the magnitude of the velocity and the arrow head as the direction, we can understand that if the x velocity is 10 meters per second and it is constant all throughout the travel, the arrows in the x component must be of the same length and direction. While if the y velocity starts with 29.4 meters per second and every second of going up it decreases by 9.8 meters per second, the arrow in the vertical component would certainly decrease its length until it reaches the maximum height, where the y velocity becomes zero since the object momentarily stops before going down. Upon going down, the arrow increases in length because the y velocity in going down increases by 9.8 meters per second every second. If we are to trace the motion and combine the two components, we will see that projectile travels in a parabolic path. If only the vertical velocity is constant, the object will not follow a parabolic path, and instead it will move slantways. The example is showing the projection at an angle, but if you notice, half of its path, starting from the top to the point where it lands, shows a horizontal projection. Also note that at the same level from the ground, the vertical velocities are equal in magnitude but opposite in direction.